Amen. Hello, guys. Why don't you tell me how the audio is? I just want to make sure I don't have any problems with the audio. Sound good? There's going to be a little delay. Sound good? Sound bad? Maybe I had the Parthenes a little bit too high, I think is what. It's a tad bit low. Should I turn it up? Turn it up. Hello. Better? Hello. Very quiet? So funny to get contradictory statements from people. It sounds good coming back through if I let's see, it's turned all the way up here. If I test my advanced audio properties and I do monitor output. Let's just see what it sounds like. Hello. Is there anybody out there? Just not if you can hear me. Sounds good to me, guys. Now I don't need these anymore. Welcome. Fix my camera. Thank you so much for joining me. Praise God. Let's just open with a prayer in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, now and ever into the ages of ages. Amen. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. And forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. Through the prayers of our holy fathers, Lord Jesus Christ, our God, have mercy upon us and save us. Amen. Yeah, it sounds good to me. So, like I always say in life, it's not a me problem, it's a you problem. No, I'm kidding. So, welcome. We have 56 watching. I wanted to get this out today and just tell you what a blessed event that we had today. Over the week. And today I was thinking about, you know what, I should do a video. Michael Witkoff, if you're out there, you did a video, you jumped on it, but he was one of the first ones out of here, so I was still wrapping things up while he was doing his video. But yeah, I'd love to talk about just what Orthodox MontaNIKA was and the experience of that. So it started off to be nothing actually like the way it actually turned out. What happened is, I remember that when I was at the conference in Texas with Jay and Jamie, they really wanted my wife to make it down to that conference. That was back in the end of January. And she was unable to make it. And so, Jamie really wanted to meet my wife, and my wife really wanted to meet Jamie, Dyer. And so I said, well, why don't you guys just come up to Montana over the summer and we'll see each other. It's not a big deal. And then what happened is I had more friends starting to say, we're going to come visit you up in Montana over the summer. Hey, you know what? We're going to come visit you up in Montana in the summer. Another one. We're going to visit you. And I started thinking about how busy I am over the summer writing this paper for this book, getting ready to start classes on the 24th of August, prepare all the syllabi and stuff like that, and course materials, that I started thinking, there's no way I'm going to be able to host guests every week or every other week. So I put out a proposal. I put out the proposal to Jay and some of my close friends that, why don't we just do a weekend where we just all kind of Ortho Bros hang out together. And Jay and et al. Said, great, we'll make this into a conference, I'll bring my books, and we'll, and keep in mind this is right after the trad form, so everybody was super excited and wanted to do something like that again. As soon as they started saying, we're going to make it into this big conference, I immediately pushed back and said, no, we're not. Well, I don't want to do that. So then I thought, well, maybe we'll just get a few, like 15, 25 people, and we can do a talk for them and for my parishioners and things like that. And I was thinking about, guest speakers. We got, Rouge and Michael Sisko, Michael Witkoff, Jay Dyer, Luke Kendrick, and many others. And obviously some of those, because of scheduling and work events, were unable to make it. That, let me know if there's any static coming in from anybody else. I can turn it down a little bit. Better? Or is it too low? Anyways, what happened is, I bumped something and created static. Let's see. I think. How about better? Still static? Oh man. No, hold on. Got all this expensive equipment for... The stack got better? Okay. I think I bumped my mic with my ear. So some of the guys I really wanted to come up, like Rouge, Michael Sisko, Luke Kendrick, were unable to make it. Some other priests, and I thought that's fine. We'll just keep it small. And Jay and the speakers kept saying we're going to make it bigger. And obviously, I lost that argument in battle. Rarely do I lose an argument. But when I do, it's to these great men, Michael Witkoff, Brother Augustine, Jay Dyer, David Patrick Harry from Church of Eternal Logos. And so I just thought, it's such late notice. All this came together so fast. Within basically, I had to get like a website up, all this different stuff up, put everything together. It happened in a couple weeks. This whole thing started a month ago, if you think about it. So I was a bit nervous about how this would all work out. And I was kind of making it up as I went along, because people were like, well, what is it about, right? Remember, keep in mind, it was just supposed to be some friends up here. So I had to make oh, it's about orthodoxy. What about orthodoxy? Well, we do apologetics, right? It's got to be something about apologetics. What are the people's papers going to be? I don't know. Apologetics. So then I started thinking, well, you know what? A lot of us, and if I haven't mentioned this, I'll mention it now, because I use this conference to kind of announce our project. So there's many of us that work together, and then I've invited other people as well to basically team up. A lot of us that work, and refer each other to each other in our own streams and our own work. I got the idea that we'll think about just the work that we do individually, and behind the scenes, and kind of referencing people, referring people to Jay Dyer or Tristana, and various other people. Just the amount of great things that have come about as far as people learning about orthodoxy, learning about the apologetics, various theological things, but even better, people coming in and converting, becoming catechumens, becoming newly illumined. And then I thought about, and I've been mulling over this for the last year, especially given the lockdowns and just the unfortunate things that we see, even Orthodox, involved in and speaking about, that I thought about, well, wouldn't it be great if we consolidated all our powers? Because it's easy to, brush one of the content providers off as, well, that person's just doing their thing and they're crazy and blah, blah, blah. But I thought about, well, wait a minute, what if we had a single platform in which it consolidated all the content providers that we're already kind of working with, and new people, like I've reached out to Rouge and some others, that we could have a single platform that references in an index, announces streams when they're coming out, et cetera, but it would be a way to funnel, those who are inquiring into Orthodoxy find all this great material. So I'd come up with this idea in this webpage to announce this apologetics program that we're going to be doing and all joining in together. And so I thought that it would be good on this conference to use the conference itself as a way to announce. We're releasing the official release of our apologetics program, the Orthodox Academy. So I was able to do that. And then the theme, obviously, in terms of apologetics, was answering modern challenges to orthodoxy. And my paper, we'll just kind of go over. Do we got some trolls in here? Why is he always got to be so mean? Everybody seems pretty good so far. How many people? 76, sweet. Yeah, thank God you guys are able to meet Father Russell. Before I go into like the papers and stuff like that, so it began on Thursday. People were arriving Thursday, and we're just first kind of the official events didn't get kicked off until Friday with my opening talk. Now, I'm a professor of philosophy at Carroll College, and so they were so courteous and kind to actually allow me to book a huge lecture hall for that for the conference. Everything else I had thought about. Now, if anybody's ever been to a conference, food, events, and things like that, they're all on your own. A conference really doesn't organize. They can provide recommendations and stuff like that. But when you sign up for a conference and you pay for something, you're paying for the speaking events. So I know there was some confusion about that because I put out basically kind of recommendations. And I kind of planned the day, right? That was the other difficult thing, is that I had to kind of go through and go, you know what? Of course, it's not the responsibility of the conference organizers to organize everything for you, but here's a cool kind of suggested itinerary if you want to join along with us. And so that's basically what I actually created. Hey, we'll meet up Thursday around the city. Maybe we'll meet up at various breweries, because Montana is known for the country's best breweries, and we actually ship a lot of our hops out and stuff like that. And just in our small little town, which is the capital, Helena, not Helena, you will get shot up here if you say that. What is St. Constantine's mother called? Helena. Who's the actress? Helen Hunt, right? I don't know where Helena comes from, why people mispronounce that, but it's very dangerous. If you ever come up to Montana, don't ever mispronounce. Helena is Helena. Just a piece of advice for you. So our capital town, our capital of the state of Montana, which is about the size of California, just shy of California, but with only 1 million people. Now keep in mind, Southern California, which is about a quarter of the size, a third of the size of Montana, has 22 million people in it. So there's only 1 million people in this entire state. And Helena the capital only has 30,000. And I'm bringing this up. Yeah, I was thinking too, the only thing is if you're Romanian or something like that, like Helena, you might say that. But most of the people that... my cat wants to get out. Hold on a second. You want out, buddy? You know I'm going to open the door and then he's not going to want to come out. Okay, he was scratching at the door. So, I'm bringing up the 30,000 because it's going to tie into kind of the stuff that happened up here. Thursday, sent out kind of like announcements. Hey, text me when you guys arrive. We'll be at various places. We checked out various breweries, and then we met up for dinner. Now, the first night proved to be a problem. Because my idea was just, and I've kind of sent this in announcements, but, everybody wants to hang out together. But I said, in the announcements, everybody from themselves, okay? Why did I say that? Because Helena is only 30,000 people. And you can't get, we had what? Not including my parishioners from Helena and Butte, we had like 70, 72 registered or something like that. Yeah, Kristen, that's a good call. I'll stop. It is so crowded and terrible in Montana. Don't you ever come up here. Well, what I want is I want the bad people to stay out and the good people to come in. And then the bad people here to get out to make more room for good people. So, Thursday night, everybody starts texting me, where are we meeting? So I'd actually, tried to book something for Thursday night. We already had like 25, 30 people come in, and nobody would take reservations. So then people started meeting up at a restaurant going, they're not going to take anybody, any group larger than 12, and no other group because there's a group larger than 12. So now everybody's getting all upset because they all want to hang out. So that posed to be a problem. Then I just told people, I'm like, you know what, you go to the pizza place, we're going here. Of course, everybody's like, well, where are you going? I want to go there, right? And I'm trying to divide the group up because I'm like, this is not going to work. So everybody decides, and this kept happening. They wouldn't listen to me, and they actually came to the restaurant, and the restaurant was so upset. We're in the way, and they were like, we can't serve you, and all this different stuff when more people started coming in. Now, keep in mind, this is not only a phenomenon in the state of Montana, but it turns out across the United States, everybody's just quit their jobs, and nobody wants to work anymore because they're all on the dole. So everybody's understaffed up here, which in a town of 30,000 makes a big difference. So they just couldn't actually deal with it. So that was kind of our first hiccup. And I just kind of tried to make it clear that, like, hey, we can't all be together for dinners. We're going to have to split it up. And I reminded them, too, I'm like, because you know what? You guys are going to leave. I still have to work and live in this town. I'm going to have, like, a reputation. Oh, he's the guy that brought in all those ortho bros and, caused this huge ruckus in the restaurants and stuff like that. So, Friday, we met at Gate of the Mountains, which is beautiful. It's just about 15 minutes up the road. And it's this beautiful on Holter Lake, this fjord that goes back, all the way back, and it goes into the Missouri River. And it was just, I'd never done it. It was incredible. It was, about 2 hours or something like that. And we got to see a lot of wildlife, and that really kind of was the first event. We did morning prayers at the where you buy the tickets in the boat dock and stuff like that. So I think everybody really enjoyed that. It was really great. And then we came back to Carroll College. So after we ate lunch, we came back to Carroll College, and then I kicked off our inaugural Orthodox MontaNIKA with my own paper. And so we could talk a little bit about that, my paper was entitled, "In Whom Do You Put Your Trust? An Orthodox Response to Cufid Science." Volume's still really low. I don't believe it. Some people are saying it's good. I'll turn it up if you want me to. Yeah, your speakers are... You done busted your speaker, son. So, and I can actually show you some of the photos and stuff as we go through. The second speaker... So it was just one speaker on Friday. What did we do after? There were so many events. Afterwards, I can't remember now. If we went straight to dinner, and then dinner. After dinner, we went to Headwaters Craft House. Then Saturday morning, we met on the mountain. Fire on the mountain. On Mount Helena, where I did morning prayers, and then we did a small little hike. But I had to get back right away to pick up Michael Witkoff from his hotel, because he was going to be open Saturday's talks. So Michael had been working on his paper. If you saw his video, he explains, and I'll try not to go over the same stuff that Michael has, so that you can watch his video too and get a kind of different approach to that. And I can't, I would not have been able to do, there was so much, I was exhausted, by the way, because I didn't have, it happened all so fast that all the organization was on me to do this stuff. Next year, and yes, there will be a next year and a next year, and again in peace, we will pray to the Lord that I'll delegate the division of labor. With that being said, there were some people that were just absolutely, I'm eternally indebted to them. I wouldn't have been able to do it without them. And that was some of my parishioners, Julie Chandelbray. Got to thank Matthew, who actually he roasted the beans. That I actually spent 48 hours making cold brew coffee for everybody for Saturday, which turned out to be a huge success. Everybody loved that. And Julie, my parishioner, Julie, Sarah, Gary, and Chandelbray and their families, earlier that week, we went to Costco and stuff like that and got all the food for Saturday, because part of what the tickets of the registration covered was actually food on Saturday, and then Sunday food as well after liturgy, and then a donation to the parish, and the rest went to an honorarium to the speakers. So that's what that actually covered. Anyways, so if it wasn't for my parishioners and all this hard work and their cooking that they did and setting up the tables, there'd been no way, because remember, I'm going around and I'm guiding everybody around these tours and stuff like that, and I have to then pick up, our guests. I picked up also David Patrick Harry from the Church of Eternal Logos, and several other people that came in as well. I was more than happy to, give lifts back and forth from their hotels. That's kind of, the responsibility of the conference organizer, and I was actually happy to do that. But I was thinking, there had been no time to actually then set up. And then I had to go back to the room and set up in the auditorium for the guest lecturers. Now, what's nice about the where we lectured, it actually ends up being one of the same big auditoriums that last semester I gave the ethics class that I taught. And so I was very familiar with the setup. And what was nice is they already have the audio video set up, so you could just record that. So I'll talk about that. You can, for those of you who didn't make it and want to see those, I've actually uploaded those onto my Gumroad where you can get all 4 lectures. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But anyway, so Michael Witkoff did a great talk talking about, and it's an Orthodox response to various challenges. He obviously focused on was Freemasonry and the occult and these various things. Now, what was really nice is that how everybody's paper was so different, but they just miraculously blended, and it wasn't orchestrated, premeditated ahead of time to be like that. It was really God's grace that how all of those things were so complementary and like piggybacked up off each other. And because then David Patrick Harry's video, his presentation was actually on psychedelics, an Orthodox response to psychedelics and new religious movements that are rooted in Western esoteric, and really kind of like, it was a beautiful talk that went into magic and the Renaissance and stuff like that, and back eventually into prehistoric ancient shamanism and stuff like that. So I loved it that Michael went first, and all the stuff that he was talking about, the Hermeticism, right, and the Kabbalah, that's that the Masons use, and the kind of the whole history behind that, and that the esotericism there went straight in and blended perfect for Kotel, Patrick's paper. And then the very last one was J. Dyer. So I forgot to add one other event. After, am I getting this right? Yeah, that was 3 to 4. After Patrick's paper, then we went on the Helena train tour, which is this cute little cool train that meets over by the Capitol, and then it tours all the historic parts, and you're being narrated like, oh, this is so and so's mansion here, and he was part of this, and it just gives a really kind of interesting. You learn so much about the history, so I really appreciate it. It was nice to relax to, and be all together. It was funny because I noticed that she's giving the announcers driving the train, through the streets, and some really interesting stuff, and nobody's paying attention. They're all like having philosophy conversations on so I thought that was kind of funny. Then we got back, and Jay Dyer, who really I think was the keynote speaker. So I put him last, and then he did his talk was on an Orthodox response to the similarities in absolute divine simplicity in Roman Catholicism, Islam, and eunomianism. A critical analysis of that. Let's see what's going on in the chats here, guys. Let's see. I can always come back to my story. What do you mean tickets weren't even checked? I got mine. You're supposed to get it punched. Let's go up. Let's see what's... Don't forget to send your super chats. I'm now poor and living in the street because I wasted all my money on... No, I'm kidding. But it does help. It helps me... Let me just get the link again. In my self-sustaining ministry to keep doing the work that I do for you guys. Streamlabs tip. No tips. What's going on, guys? Alright, let me put this in the chat real quick. It's also in the description. Okay, let's see what we got going here in the chat. Okay, you're talking about the noise on here. Okay, that was all. I'm just going back. yes, next year we will definitely have Rouge. Jack, dude, what is the matter with you? You'd give it a D. I don't know, man. I don't think... Yes, they were all answering modern challenges, too. I know you wanted more practical tools and stuff like that, but again, this is just a conversation starter. Apologetics really is, and this is what this conference was, answering and defending, giving defense for the reason that you have within you. And so I think that, again, Jay's focusing on, I think those kind of, you guys need to learn these kinds of arguments that, especially, talking about absolute divine simplicity, to defend the faith, you need to, so in that sense it's really practical. You need to learn the kind of, what do you call that? The fundamentals before you actually then go and actually start doing the praxis. So you could think of this as like a triad, right? The Didache, you need to learn the teaching, right, of the apologetics first. Then, what's the next one? The triad. The next part of the triad is the discussion, the Socratic discussion. Those are the conversations that hopefully this event is going to start, to get all of you guys to start talking and brainstorming. The third then is the praxis. It's the going out and doing. So just keep in mind, that's kind of in the chronological order too. The Didache, we're providing you the teaching. These are the responses, right? Then it's up to you to have the Socratic discussions, right? And then the third is the actual praxis. And if you think about like anything like that, you don't just go and play a sports without actually learning the fundamentals and the techniques and stuff like that. So I hope that answers your issues, Jack, with that. And I don't mind sending out to, I'm open to criticism too. Again, like I said, I'm blown away at the success that this was so disorganized and came together against my will so fast that the fact that it turned out the way that it did was just like, I'm at a loss for words. How amazing. What I do want to do is send out a questionnaire, things that you liked, things that you didn't like, things that you'd have different for next year. Comment sections, stuff like that. So I am open to criticism. I just, want to give the kind of context of what I was actually thinking. I think that triados, right? We're Trinitarians. So we should do even our apologetics program in this conference in the same way, to have the same sort of expectations. Also, what was another aspect of this too? The social aspect, that the fellowship of being able to come together and meet new people, meet people that we haven't met in person. And that was some of my favorite, the kind of bonds that were formed through that were just absolutely amazing. It was so beautiful that after Jay's talk, I had to run while he was doing Q&A and set up for Vespers with the little chapel at the college that we were using. And so we did, the readers' Vespers there. I'd never seen so many people in that smaller chapel, so yes, it was a bit hot. It's unusually hot up here in Montana. It's probably, the whole west of the United States right now. So there was, it's an older building, they didn't have any air conditioning there, so luckily it wasn't that long of a service. And then after that, we went to Headwaters Craft House, and I'll show some pictures of that and a little bit that I'll share with you. Then Sunday morning, we were down in Butte for liturgy, in which we had a baptismal liturgy, and everybody got to meet our wonderful priest up here, one of many wonderful priests, Father Russell at the Serbian parish. Let's see. Bojiden. Need an intro? Okay, tell Jay he needs an intro. What else do we have? Any other comments? Let's see. Oh, there's a lot. Yeah, like I said, the disorganization, all I really need to do as a conference organizer is just put speakers in a... So the rest was just kind of a free-for-all. Like, I think it was just a benefit that I had actually kind of even organized an optional suggested itinerary for... as Jay and I were joking, it's not... what do they call those things? Norwegian cruise things where everything's set up for $35. You have all your stuff set up for $35, $40 for. So it wasn't like, so people need to be clear on the kind of what conferences are and the sort of expectations. So if you just think about it, like what was the conference? It was 4 speakers. In a college, in a lecture auditorium, like that's all you need. Like that's all. All the other stuff is just icing on the cake. And look, there's always going to be a naysayer too. I know because you know what? We professors have student evaluations, right? There's always going to be 1 or 2 that say something that doesn't. That's why in like a questionnaire, it doesn't matter what the 1 or 2 people say, but the overall, you're getting an overall idea of like the majority of how did the majority of people respond. Okay, let's see, what else do we have? Yeah, the fellowship. I think the fellowship time was great. Then we had a great time after liturgy. You know what it reminds me of sometimes? I remember when we were doing music theory in undergrad at Thomas Aquinas College, and you're kind of getting into the, and we're reading philosophy too, like you get like Plato, and the Timaeus, in different places too. Where's my Timaeus? But the idea of like beauty being in proportion, the beauty in mathematics, right? The golden mean, the scales are derived in mathematical proportions. The music of the spheres, right? The scale of the Timaean scale and stuff like that. And so you might know about writing things in modes too, i.e. moods. In Orthodox we have the tones and stuff like that. And we often like to think that like people, that saying beauty's in the eye of the beholder. And people think that's means, beauty's subjective. Actually, beauty's objective. Plato provides arguments for that. So what people probably mean is something like taste. Taste is subjective. But your taste can be wrong. Your taste in music could be wrong. Like, I don't know what... These are things that I learned in... And that sounds so dogmatic. But hey, truth's dogmatic. Like, sorry if it hurts your feelings. But one of the things was, then why does like... the beautiful music sound bad, and what you would say bad music sounds beautiful to the person. And like kind of Plato's argument, and even the ancient Greeks, is because your soul's disordered. You know, you have to acquire this certain kind of right virtues and characteristics to actually be able to apprehend reality correctly. Now, I'm not saying the naysayers, their souls are disordered, but it does show you that it isn't necessarily subjective. It could be more something in the person themselves than the actual objective phenomenon. That was my point. So that's my charitable critique of the naysayers. Let's see, what else do we have? Or if you don't like it, yeah, just don't come. That's another option. Okay, what else do we have? Shall we go into... Oh, you know what the best part was? It chases little Airbnb Sunday night, the barbecue jam session. That was such a great, thank you, Chase, way to end the night. Those jam sessions, and then actually David Patrick Harry and I had a wonderful, because he wasn't flying out till later that afternoon. Unfortunately, the plane had some mechanical issues, and he had to stay even longer and miss his flight, and they had to put him up in Denver and stuff like that. So, Koto, I'm so sorry about that. You know, that you had to experience after being so tired. But we had a beautiful morning breakfast, and then we took my all-wheel drive Subaru and explored way back in the mountains of Helena and Grizzly Gulch, and it started raining, and found some beautiful stuff back there. So that was amazing. The whole thing was just... So what should we do? Let's see. Did you see here? Don't forget super chats. I'll take your super chats and answer your questions. Let's see if we got any in my dashboard. Sweet. Raw steaks, $10. Father Deacon, what do you think of the philosophical zombie argument for the refutation of materialism? I like it. I really like. We'll have to do a stream on, but I like all those irreducibility of consciousness arguments, especially like the logical possibilities of zombies. Those kind of modal and logical possible arguments and stuff like that. I typically don't give it because it's difficult for people to grasp, but they're sophisticated and actually good arguments. So thank you, Roll Steaks, for the $10. Mikhail, the King of Kings, gives $10. Thank you. May God bless you. Well, may God bless you. Let's see. So thank you for the super chat tips. Feel free to add more. Now, if you look in the description, you'll see also that you can purchase the Orthodox MontaNIKA t-shirts. And you can get different colors, in different sizes. So whether you joined our event or not, or you would just like to have your own Orthodox MontaNIKA. Remember, this is the first May. It's just going to get better. So these things will be worth like tons of money in the future. People will remember. They're like, there used to be this thing like 100 years ago. It's put in this Montana state, right? Where this deacon got all these ortho bros and gals together, and we did have some good ortho gals. And I want to thank my wife so much for being so supportive. as well. I couldn't have done it without her. And so I'm so glad that all of you got to meet my Matushka. We're in Romanian, Grotesa. And so, yeah. Also, I have taken all the recorded lectures. They're about anywhere from, an hour and 20 minutes, no longer than that, like almost an hour and a half to a little over 2 hours, depending on, I think mine was a little bit longer. Hopefully I didn't bore you guys with that. And you get 4 lectures for the price of $15. You too could become educated in apologeticums. So the first, my lecture, in whom do you put your trust? Then you have Michael Witkoff's, Brother Augustine's lecture. Then you have David Patrick Harry's lecture from the Church of Eternal Logos, and finally Jay's. So I think that's a pretty good deal for those of you who didn't make it. So you'll find that in the description on my Gumroad. I'll try to get some more courses up there too. Well, what say we? Should we look at some photos and just see what... I really miss all of you guys too. I would just... Like Chase and I were talking, and some of the other Ortho bros, we got our stuff's emotionals and stuff. I was emotional. I was emotional in the liturgy too. And that's what's beautiful about... It's a way that you're able to tell that it's not some just subjective experience that you're having. Oftentimes I think, sometimes stuff is, that, something strikes you as particularly profound or something like that maybe only you are seeing. But when we were doing those, before liturgy began, we had a young girl. She was probably 21, 23 years old. She was a catechumen, and she was going to be baptized in the liturgy. And we did a liturgical baptism where it's not after or before, but actually in the liturgy. It's built in the liturgy itself. And I'm doing litanies that actually reference that. May the Lord God, bless the waters for her baptism, may protect her, baptismal garment. And, there's various litanies that you put in there. And so... Although, God forgive me, I think I messed up on her name I think I called her Alice instead of Olivia. And would you protect, Alice? What if I just went through the whole list and Alice, Olivia, what's another A name or O name? So I feel so embarrassed when I get people's. So if Olivia, you're watching, forgive me. But as we say, God knows the names and ages of each. And so before the liturgy, we did the exorcism prayers, and it was just so beautiful that we're casting out the devil. And this one was being prepared, this young one was being prepared for baptism, being grafted in to the family and body of Christ. You're not saved individually. You don't say the sinner's prayer and you're saved. You don't, I believe and accept Jesus in my heart. And as Father Russell said in the homily, why? Because we're incarnational Trinitarians. We're communal. And I know I don't quote Tertullian often because he's not a church father, but he does have some good one-liners. At least he's good for that, right? Hey, you heard that Tertullian one-liner? Hey, stop me if you heard this one. One Christian's no Christian. There, that's a good one that you can... So, Father Russell was talking about how it's communal, the Trinity's communal, and we're made in that image. And we're incarnational, so you actually have to be saved together. In the Holy Orthodox Church, we were doing it together, all of it. It wasn't just the deacon and the priest, it was all of you that were part of that, and she was being grafted into that. And I think it was, I was getting a bit emotional just kind of thinking about that too, and what it meant to actually cast out the evil demons like that and prepare her baptismal garments to be received incarnationally into the body of Christ. And there are points in the liturgy that were pretty emotional too. And so I just thought maybe I'm tired and feeling a little bit emotional. I don't know. And then talking to all of you, people were crying. They were tearing up, and I'm like, okay, so what that means is it's not subjective. It's really the Spirit of God working through the liturgy. Did somebody get kicked off a flight? Is that true? Oh, wow. That's crazy. Jason Lucas. Try not to make eye contact with anybody during the exit train. That's crazy. I can't believe somebody got kicked off the plane. Okay, let's look at some of these. Let's see what we can find in here. I've got some good photos for... I'm going to switch it over to screen capture. So here's Holy Trinity Butte with several orthobros actually walking up. You can't see it, but the largest statue of the Theotokos in North America is right behind there. Butte is a mining town. It's a blue-collar town. Real hard working, and it was a huge ethnic. This used to be a huge parish. This was actually founded by Saint Sebastian Dorbovic, who was canonized, 7 years ago with Saint Marjorie. And so because of the big ethnic communities here, that's why it came up. Here's your boy, J. Dyer, exposed as a Duganist and Kabbalist. Right there, that was the joke. You can see here he's talking on his paper, making these important distinctions. There you are, J. Dyer. So J. Dyer is actually saying, see the little speech bubble? It's J. Dyer. J's Analysis. My name's J. Dyer from J's Analysis. Potency act, energeia activity, dunamis, potentia, pure act, perfection. So he was doing the kind of lecture on the board, which was cool. Let's see. Oh, I'm back on that. Sorry, I'd switched. Yeah, look at all the kegs. That was a cool photo. I appreciate that. So I think that was Saturday night. This was some of these aren't obviously going to be in order. This was at Chase's pad, his Airbnb, and we were doing the barbecue. A lot of people have, I guess, they haven't asked me personally, but I've seen, why am I not in my vestments? So, again, that's typically not, unless you're in a culture like Romania, Orthodox, Russia or Georgia or Bulgaria, some of these were Orthodox so ingrained. It's not that common that a priest wears their vestments everywhere. In fact, especially in the United States, a lot of priests, when they're not actually working, and it's not like we're monks, so when they're not actually working in church or on clerical duties, they'll take that off, especially if it's really hot and you're going to get it dirty or something like that, or you're just in a place that may not be appropriate because you're not performing. So it's not a requirement, especially in America, where it's the culture and the situation's a bit different. But keep in mind too, it's even less so because I'm a father deacon. I'm not a priest. Like I'm a deacon. I'm part of the clergy, the part of the priesthood. But so a lot of people were confused about that. So I follow this is the advice of my spiritual father. He basically said that unless you're on duty, I prefer that you not actually wear the cassock. So a lot of time I was here because it's part of the group. But here we got a barbecue. Before the events kicked off, and I was just picking up a few people. I wasn't in my cassock. But when the events kicked off, and I was in my official capacity of actually speaking and doing church events, I was in my cassock at all times. So you'll see here, I never took it off this last night because we were doing events. This was at Lewis and Clark Brewery. There's our... See, this is what's great about Montana. Here's a brewery, and if you notice, children are allowed in the breweries. It's a really family-oriented up here. Yeah. I mean, we filled up the whole thing. That was the other thing is, like, this town's so small. The fact that I'm walking around in a cassock with all these people, they're like, who are you? Where do you come from? Which was kind of funny. Yeah, that's a great place. There is the very first day, so you'll see I just picked up Cotel, David Patrick Harry, and we're having the very first taste. Looks like he has an IPA there, and I've got a sour at 10 Mile Brewing. So again, I didn't think it was appropriate to have the cassock before the event actually kicked off. Let's go to see some more. Oh, here's our little jam session here. But here was a nice photo at Headwaters Craft House, Brew House. So what was that? Friday night? Yeah, that was Friday night. There's the speakers. Here is dinner, one of the many dinners at the Hibachi Japanese Steakhouse. So we had this whole place. Now they were super cool. We were able to book 30 people, and then Father Russell actually came and got to chill out with us too. So yeah, we're filling up all these tables all around, and they gave us a really good show. There. Nagoya's Japanese Steakhouse. It was really good. Here is what happened after we ordered soy stir fry. We all went soy face. I like this person has this thing here. Harvard professor research. New study shows. Research study. Experts weigh in. So that's all you have to do is just eat your soy stir fry on your hibachi grill, and you could be just like us right there. I really appreciated this picture here of our Ortho Bro, the Orthodox conspiracy freak. Here was the morning hike, Saturday morning and prayers up in the mountains on Mount Helena. There we go. Yeah, I wish I had more time. We could have went farther, but remember I had to go back and pick up Michael Witkoff, the first speaker, Saturday, and then on my wife, and make sure the coffee was all set up and things like that. So I apologize that I didn't have more time. I want to do more nature stuff like that. There he is. Saturday's first speaker, Michael Witkoff, Brother Augustine. This is the lecture room. And there you see, it doesn't look like that many people, but actually if you count that up, there's probably about 60 in the room. There's people going outside as well. So that's a great photo. And then here is the hall, right? The O'Connell Hall, where the classroom auditorium lecture. But here you'd have us all just sitting around different places on my campus at Carroll College, having lunch and fellowshipping and talking about philosophy and God, and that was really beautiful. And of course, Chandler and Julie, like I said, I couldn't have done it without them, and all the food. Looks like we're kind of wrapping up at that point, but and even keto brownies. I call them the special brownies, and then I realized after I said that people, after David Patrick Harry's talk on psychedelics, probably had something different in mind than... I was like, no. I mean, like, keto ones, not... I think they were gluten-free, too. Not the other special. There he is, the man, giving his talk on shamanism and psychedelics being rooted in, the kind of history, and tied that into the 60s too. Now, why is that important? I know, Jack, that you had asked, practically, what's relevant about... There's a huge growth of occultism and the psychedelics movement. We have to answer that. We have to answer these people. And so I think, again, think about this as the didache. What you received is the didache. Now it's your job to start having the conversations, working these things out. Because if you think about, that's the way that we did the great books, the Socratic method, is you read the great books. Let's see. You read the great books. You studied it, right? You're getting the teaching from the teacher, right? Or whoever, it may be. And then what do? You're not done with your learning. Then you actually go into classroom and you discuss and you work out these ideas about what does it mean and what does the author say. But especially being a Christian is the third part, which is the praxis. It's the call to action, putting it in. And that praxis must always be in the kind of sense of doing charitable work too. And this even goes back to Plato too, and I talked a little bit about that with the beauty. But the theme carries through again. Plato, and you have this in Orthodoxy. So Plato was right to pick up on this. He's picking up on something orthodox. True gnosis, true understanding cannot be acquired without purification and repentance, acquiring of the spiritual virtues. Well, Aristotle was right to point out as well that you don't get virtue by reading a book. You get virtue by doing an action, by praxis, by practicing it. And Plato believed that in order to understand reality correctly, you have to be appropriately conditioned. You have to have acquired the virtues that make your soul ready to receive the truth. And vice versa, when you acquire the spiritual virtues, well, in his case it would be the virtues, but for us Orthodox, the spiritual virtues, you're able to then actually know and see clear. So that's why that third part of actually praxis is not only just like doing in the world, but in the sense of the moral, spiritual component too, of almsgiving, charity, and stuff like that. That then presents and that's really the kind of apologetic program as we Orthodox have to advocate. I don't think it's optional. I think that's what our program is. So don't get upset. It's okay to be wrong and misjudge what was actually going on, but that's how you do it. Didache, Socratic discussion, and praxis, and acquiring the virtues. Sound good? Let's go back to screen capture. Oh, yeah. Look at this huge... Look how big the cows are here. This was a cow that had obviously died and expired and everything. No, I'm kidding. It was some art piece right in front of the train tour that I just thought was kind of funny. So here's J. Dyer breaking down his presuppositional Duginism once again. He has been exposed as a Duginist KGB Kabbalist. How do we know? Because we used our Aristotelian distinctions of potency and act. That's how. That's how we know. As long as we can scholastically actually put that in. Oh, and also, don't forget, we use that periodic table of elements right before, too, to know that he is, in fact, a KGB spy Duginist chaos mathematician, right? Am I leaving any out? Occultist, right? That's where, I mean, obviously, here's my argument, just bear with me here. The periodic chart really is numerology and, ancient Hermeticism, and it kind of looks like tarot cards. So just from this picture alone, we know that he must be an occultist. Do you see how my logic? That's just pure logic there for you, right there. If you sign up with my logic class, you can learn to reason. You can learn to reason like a dummy, just like that. No, I'm kidding. But that's his talk right there, going through absolute divine simplicity and what actus purus means and stuff like that. And there's J. Dyer with his fancy watch that he got from Putin. We're both giving the thumbs up on Putin approved. Exposed KGB on the train tour in Helena. So this is all just more evidence for all you haters out there. Look at this. Collect them all. Exposed. So that's a small little parish there with no air conditioner. People are still piling in, so the service hadn't even begun. I was just kind of setting up. Here you see me. Here we got the beautiful choir. Thank you, choir, got the kids. I'd throw these pews out if I could, but I think I would get in trouble right now. This is not my property. Here again, the speakers with one of our friends that showed up. Here's Saturday night. Huge crowd. Look at that. And that's not even everybody. That's like not the person. A lot of the parishioners are missing from Butte and Helena. But let's say this is the core element. And again, after we ordered our soy IPA, that's the face that you get. The speakers. We'll call ourselves the founders, guys. What do you say? 3 cheers for Orthodox MontaNIKA. That was a cool one. Here is the liturgy. So you see the baptismal font right there. This must be, obviously right after I finished the Great Litany and before the icon of Christ there. If you notice the whitewash, a lot of people notice this. That's because there was a water leak last year in the church and it ruined all the icons. This is actually plastered now, and we now have the iconographer, famous iconographer, Serbian guy that's coming working on that. So God willing, next year it will all be completed. Here was another beautiful. Here we have the whole catechumens right here, where I'm doing the prayer for the catechumens. Father's actually blessing. Actually, this is the part where he's going to say, we do it a kind of a cool way. Father will say, catechumens depart, and then I'll say, all catechumens depart. let no catechumen, we'll do this dance back and forth where Father and I, and they actually depart. They come up and then they depart. So that was cool to see that many catechumens. Here's this bozo clown, the imposter, my doppelganger, stealing my paper from me and trying to pawn it off as if it was his own. We have caught him. He has been arrested. But yeah, that was my talk there. That's kind of a look from, I think, just getting started, so the room hadn't filled up that much. But great room. I loved that it had the audio, video all hooked up on there. Let's return back to the camera. And let's just look at if you guys have any questions. What's going on in the... Yeah, Jay's always doing the thumbs up. Now he's got me doing the thumbs up. Thank you, okay, for putting the speeches up there. Yeah, I killed the cow chase with my bare hand. So, you want me to read you my little intro for, well, my paper? You guys have any other questions? One second. So this is kind of the synopsis of the paper, and my paper investigated, as you know, I work a lot in the philosophy of science and epistemology. So I wanted this paper to investigate the conditions of knowledge pertaining to science. And what I wanted to do is distinguish science, genuine science, from pseudoscience as it relates to CUFID. And so what I did is I ended up discussing the relationship between not only just kind of knowledge in general, and then kind of went through a whole philosophy of science to kind of dethrone the devotees of scientism, like to dethrone the type of knowledge that science is not the highest knowledge when done well. It's, through inductivism. It's probabilistic. It's one of the least lowest forms. And we talked about in the philosophy of science that there's reasons to even take kind of a metaphysical quietist, so to reject like naive realism and maybe even critical realism for more metaphysical quietists. What does that mean? That you don't actually, whatever your scientific entities that you're talking about, electrons, these different things that you'd read in science, well, the question about metaphysics or ontology, do they exist? Is that real? Is there really an atom with a nucleus with electrons spinning around with a different electron orbital shells and stuff that you could be a metaphysical quietist, be like, I don't know. But it doesn't matter, because that's not what science is for. It's not to tell you about reality and metaphysics, but it's supposed to be a techne, so concerned with praxis. So we talked a little bit of reasons like that. The whole thing was simply to going over kind of the history of the philosophy of science and all the literature and the various problems that science, qua science, actually has problems and faces, is to really kind of dethrone, because why? What we see with the CUFID is what makes all this possible is that within our society has embraced a scientism, an elevated status of the empirical sciences, or an acceptance of them is the only legitimate way of knowing. Because then what I do is discuss, well, how is that related to socio-political structures? Well, I go through that, and I do that to illustrate how science can actually be corrupted into scientism. So I go through, what is scientism? And then how does that happen? You have to locate that historically in this kind of philosophical, the history of philosophy, of ideas, and the kind of socio-political structures that come out of modernity and the Enlightenment, of which we're the inheritors of. We're living in the afterbirth, as I always say, of so I pull from Eric Voegelin a lot when it comes to the kind of talking about the socio-political structures, and that those ideas being, as he points out, a form of modern Gnosticism. And I argue that's incompatible with Christianity. Why? Because it doesn't see the cosmos as a divine order, but a man-made system created by a libido dominandi, a will to power, to dominate man and nature. If you study the history of ideas and you study it carefully, you'll actually see that this occurs in modernity and the Enlightenment. There's a fundamental shift in the way that man thinks about himself, God, and the rest of the world, the cosmos and the polis and stuff. So why do I go through that in my paper? Because that's to give the kind of context. Well, what's the dominating ideology that we're living in right now that corrupts science into scientism? Or corrupts the science? Well, what made that possible? Scientism. Well, where does that come from? Again, this kind of modern Gnosticism. But all of that, again, is to give a context to, well, what is the dominating socio-political ideological form that kind of rules and dominates now? That's technocracy. So then I go into, well, what is technocracy? Where is it, the theory's origins, right? And I go back to Edward Bellamy's great novel, Looking Backwards, some of the writings of Wilhelm Thorstein and the managerial, I'm blanking on his book right now. But all of this, a lot of it was a response to social and economic response to social and economic problems of coming out of the Great Depression. Then I actually go into what I call detective epistemology. So I started using metaphors that, like, well, how would a detective or prosecutor look at things and build a case for, like, a suspect? And what kind of standard of evidence would you say would be high enough to be like, well, this person's obviously guilty? And then what I do is then I use that after I've actually shown that now that science doesn't exist in a vacuum. Science is actually embedded within the socio-political framework of the dominating ideology of technocracy, which was made possible through scientism, which came out of modernity and Enlightenment, and these non-Christian ideas that are, neo-Gnostic and at odds with Christianity. Now, once I have all that, right, that's all the background, right, to show you, like, it is possible that the science is corrupted. That enough might actually be enough for you to be like, well, I can't trust it, right? Because remember the title of the paper is in whom do you put your trust? Then I go through and go, okay, now that we've got that, let's just look at the evidence. Let's use the detective epistemology. And I don't cite any doctors or any evidence from the COVID skeptics. I cite all of theirs. I cite all of their data, so I can never be accused of anecdotal evidence or it being engaged in vicious circularity or epistemic bootstrapping or anything like that. I'm like, these are your dudes. Like, I quote the Johns Hopkins University. I quote Lancet Journal. I quote the New England Journal of Medicine, Dr. Marcia Angel, all the best, right? I quote MIT, right? trying to remember. So you can't accuse me of not actually using the best or what the other side would actually, the Kufid cult members would actually hold to. So I think that was actually good. And based on that alone, then I actually go into principles that should be all well known to everybody. I can't believe that people don't even know this. But the cronyism between the pharmaceutical industries and doctors is a source of corruption. This goes all the way back, everybody knows this, to psychiatry. How things are funded, clinical trials, that the pharmaceutical industries fund all the stuff for the doctors, but then insist that they be involved in every aspect of the clinical trials, the publications, so they can suppress anything. So there's financial motive which ends up producing corruption in. And I use all that to kind of go in and set up, and then tie it in theologically too, to leave you with the question, when you see a city of God and a city of man and want to know where your citizenship lies, to ask yourself, in whom do you put your trust? So that brief was kind of my paper. If that's interesting to you, you can purchase that talk along with 3 others that are good too. Let's see, any other? Dragoon, thank you for thinking that I'm awesome, but awesomeness won't get me into the kingdom of heaven. I've got to repent. No, I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay. Let's see if anybody's got any more. Yeah, look at you guys, dude. You guys are awesome. More super chats. Nathaniel Hill. $100. Oh my gosh, God bless you. For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. For he's a jolly good fellow. And his name is Nathaniel Hill. Thank you, Nathaniel. By the way, I should just do that for $100. I will sing you whatever song you want for $100. God bless you. Thank you. I work in tech, brother. Happy to get involved. I would love to discuss your platform vision. So much potential. Yes, let's work together, guys. I'm telling you, what we have in store here is going to counter AFR. I've already used our Discord and the way that we manage that, the way that we both get spiritual advice. We have priests on there. We have a metropolitan bishop, right? Because again, Orthodox apologists, all of whom have their blessing from their bishop to do their work, is no replacement for a spiritual father and spiritual guidance. And all of them know that. And so when these questions come up, it's nice to have, well, look, we've got a clergy member who can answer that. If not, go ask your spiritual father is always the response. But also to have a crew of clergy working with us to give us kind of discretion and guidance in moving the future. It's great. So a lot of my ideas is on this webpage have come just from seeing what works through our Discord, mistakes that we've made, and all of those lessons are going to be brought into, because here you have multiple Orthodox apologists as well as priests and clergy working together, right? With all of you too coming on. And so I kind of use that as like a beta test to kind of then, develop this idea. And so, yeah, I think being indexed under topics is going to be good. Let's see. I think announcements. So now everybody's connected. So let's say you're subscribed to Church of the Eternal Logos, but you don't know anything about Orthodox Shahada, Lewis and Kai's channel, or Tristan with Primal Edge Health. You don't know this, but we're all working together. Jay Dyer. Now Roosh is going to be working with us, or more people to. And God bless you, Roosh, for the work that you're doing. I'm so happy that you're going to be on board with. And again, all of this is just going to help promote more and more of the content providers. Bring more people then, but it's going to consolidate all our powers. Now you're going to be like, oh, I didn't know about this guy, Roosh, or I didn't know about interesting. That's so cool. Do you have a site that has it all indexed according to particular topics? Oh, I'm interested in Islam and defending orthodoxy against Islam. My shout out to Orthodox Shahada, Dave the Real Med on anti-Chalcedonians, right? You know, we all have these niches and specialties that we can all bring our powers together for the glory of God. So yes, Nathaniel Hill would be happy to have you give involved and have suggestions for platform. So Chase Mudd asks, why is downtown Helena so... Okay, so it's not just... Do you know the word I'm trying to speak to you? But I can't because I'm on YouTube. Anybody? Anyone want to take a guess in here? Let's see if you get it. Skittled. So what's happening across the country? There is an organized effort from the left and degenerates to target extremely conservative and religious areas. And what they do is they'll always start in the cities, right? That's the way the demons work too, by the way. Do you know there's a demon for each city? I mean, tactically, it just makes sense. Rather than sending out multiple demons to have houses spread all around suburbia, you put one in the city, right? The devil puts his, demonic soldiers in the city. Well, the anti-Christian demonic ideologies that infect this world, the principalities of darkness, the leftist liberal degeneracy, sexual degeneracies in particular, they focus on they're at war. I don't know what to tell you. And I don't mean like let's say even a typical liberal, they probably don't even know this, that it's not like I'm going to war or something like that. They're, God forgive them, they don't know what they're doing. They've been brainwashed by this death cult. But they believe in what they're doing. So what happened, it's of a religious nature. It's proselytization, right? They are going into the unknown lands, right? And they're going to convert all, from their standpoint, the reprobates, right? The pagans, and they see us as that. So they're actually across the United States targeting very conservative towns, and they're going in, and a lot of this comes in through, these people are coming primarily out of Portland, Seattle, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and they have money, and they come over here and they buy the coffee shops and breweries. Then once they have that, they put up their Skittles flags and make their employees wear Skittles, right? They're proselytizing. It's very unfortunate. Once you go off even the main, like, couple streets in the main street, you won't see, like, people are still flying Trump flags, and they're really, really conservative up here. But this is the new land. This is, for them, ripe for conversion. So it's not just here, it's going to be in other places too. I don't know really beyond like praying at this point, like tactically how to deal with that, to ward that evil off. Because I'm worried if my temptation is just to go out and start, spraying down those shops with holy water or something like that, and having protests or something. But that's what they want. Then they'll be like, oh good, we got the attention, now we got it on the news, right? And it's like, then they're going to send more troops and people out. Like, that's what I definitely... So we might be like, we're going to actually have to think strategically about this. Part of this is to encourage you guys to, again,
let's try to keep the bad people out and get more good Orthodox up here. When this town becomes Orthodox, and I believe it will, like I believe, out of all the states in the United States, Montana's the most ripe for Orthodoxy. I mean, it's already booming. I mean, Father Russell talked about this too. Maybe next year we'll even do Orthodox Montana missions. And so, again, I know that part of the frustration about Montana is that, well, it's not as cheap as the South and the Midwest as far as property. Property's going up. It's unfortunate. It is way cheaper, more than half from anywhere on the West Coast, or the East Coast for the most part, unless you're like in, South Carolina or something like that. So that's good. It's still affordable. We have a great governor. Abortion is actually illegal and banned after 20 weeks. And then ultrasound is provided to the person if it's before 20 weeks. Great. The billboards around, as soon as you get outside the main thing, it's like Jesus billboards, pro-life billboards. So I love it. Like, I love here. It's just these left coasters coming here and they're trying to proselytize. And also, we have the most liberal gun laws, liberal in the good sense, up here. I think it's the most armed state. It's still, again, 1,000 people, sorry, 1 million people in the entire state. So it's scattered out. It's really great. Critical race theory, an executive order came out banning critical race theory from being taught anywhere here. We were some of the first ones, the governor, to lift the mask mandates. You cannot sue somebody for getting sick. He did also banned. It's like him and the Florida governor are like running neck to neck, like competing. But they both of like our governor and their governor had actually banned vaccine passports. Usually people. Northern Idaho is very considered. Oh wow, yeah. So they're really going in. Like, I wouldn't go to Idaho. Like, you got Boise, and the property prices up there are going to shoot higher than anything because most people are moving to Idaho. We're actually more armed than Texas. Yeah, it's crazy. It's like, so, and it feels safe. That's what's great. It's like there's a real sense of community. But Idaho has one of the fewest available, like, land available. Most of it's public, national forest and stuff like that. And so the more people that come in, that means the prices are going to go really far up too. And then you have Boise in the big cities, and you have the liberals. They'll go there first. It'll take a long time before, even if they kept going and we figured it, we didn't have a way to kind of stop this. Because of the structure of the way Montana, we don't have really our biggest city is Billings at 120,000. This stuff's not going to spread. If it ever does, you just abandon the city. People are usually worried about the temperature. It's so cold up there. And they'll move to Idaho. But Helena has the best weather in Montana. And if you look, it's almost identical to Meridian. Right outside of Boise and stuff. Well, people all move, they think it's mild. I looked, and it's like only on average like 5 degrees warmer during like the winter in the Boise, surrounding Boise area than it is here. So, So, I mean, but it does get cold here. If you're a swamp thing and you like that sticky, dirty humidity and mud, and dirty catfish and crazy Baptist Pentecostals and stuff, then you can go to the South. I love South. I feel like I'm Southern at heart, but
you can pay me to move to the South. I can't stand right? And the South has crime problems, right? That's another thing to think. So it's a balance when you're thinking through this stuff, right? The problem is, like anything that you notice, whether in philosophy or theology, apologetics, people take one part and then they absolutize it, or they put it. I notice, like, people in California that were crying about us moving to Montana were like, well, the weather. I'm like, well, does the weather really matter when, like, Antifa and BLM are, like, burning down your house, or you're living in a garbage can on Skid Row because you can't afford anything, and you're locked up in a FEMA camp because they're all crazy? Well, at least the weather's nice. Like, it's so stupid. Right? And so, yeah, like, I love the snow. I love, like, skiing. We have a resort just 20, 25 minutes. Right after class, I'm on the slopes, shredding it, man. So think about that. It's not crowded. I don't have to. So anyways, you've got to just kind of put all these things together and kind of balance stuff that, like, again, some people are just like, now this is a harder one. I understand this more about, like, if you can't afford something, you can't afford something. But sometimes people are like, that's all that matters. Well, the question is, again, it's just like when you pay for better quality stuff, or you go cheap and it breaks in like 5. So you got to think about property the same way too. Like, you're going to pay a little bit more than you are in the South or the Midwest. But your life's going to break down there in 5 years, right? Where you can last up here. That's kind of the way I like to think of it, just to kind of balance everything. But most importantly, like, the Orthodox potential. And yes, we have a monastery here. Yeah, we want to build more. So let's see. I think we have some more super chats. If you let me put in the tip thing just in case you forgot. But I do love Southerners, though. Like, the people are great. I love Southerners. And Montana does too. You know why? Because all the carpetbaggers drove out the Southerners, and Montana actually ended up being a place of refuge for Southerners. So it's kind of cool, huh? Okay, what do we got here? So thank you again, Nathaniel Hill, for the $100. That was awesome. We have... Oh, I read Chase Mudd. And by the way, Chase, thank you for your beautiful email. Yes, yes, yes. You and I are working together. I definitely, what a blessing to meet you. That was one of the highlights of the event for me, at least. So, God bless you. Thank you for your support. Raw Steaks, 5 cents, $5. Thanks, Father Deacon, for the answer. I had issue with the P-zombie argument, but I feel like it only works if you presuppose that consciousness is something apart from physicality. That's the so that's where it gets. I'll explain that to you. So it's not that you presuppose it. So it's the idea that in logically conceivable worlds, if you're able to conceive of something without contradicting yourself, then it's possible. But the problem is, materialism is a thesis that doesn't say, oh, it just happens to be that these are just material facts in this world, right? It holds modal strength across all possible worlds. And so that's why it's good to come up with modal arguments, to be like, well, because the materialists would just say, and Daniel Dennett and these people have said this before, well, it just wouldn't exist. But it's like, you miss the argument. The fact of the matter is that I'm conceiving it, so it's possible there could be a world that's actually like that. And if it's possible, then materialism's impossible, because materialism is a stronger thesis than it just happens to be this way, that there's only material entities are reducible to functional analysis or causal states. No, it's a stronger thesis than that. So that's why these conceivability arguments, You don't have to presuppose it. The fact that you actually think it without contradiction in itself refutes these reductive materialist arguments. Yeah, so thank you, Raw Steaks, for that. 250 from Brandon Rice. Everything about the event was awesome. Much respect to speakers and the friendly local Orthodox Christians. Yes. Special thanks to you, Father Ananias, who made it all possible. God bless you. Thank you, Brandon Rice. Yes. It's just, there's nothing like it. It was really amazing I'm telling you, I've been to lots of conferences, big ones too. Hands down the best conference I've ever been to, and I'm not saying that just because I organized it, really because it was of you guys and the speakers and the parishioners, and I think there's something just special and Orthodox about Montana. I really do. So we have Super Boomer donated $5. My grandpappy would throw a snake at us during his sermons. If you got bit, you done sin and ain't saved. And you don't get bit, you good. And that's how I was taught. But now I like orthodoxy. It's nice. And y'all don't throw snakes at us. Yes, amen, we don't. Unless you are a skittled proselytizer enemy coming to destroy the individual and common good, coming for our children. I'm not saying I would, but I'm saying there might be people in Montana that would throw a snake at you. So, let's see, what else we got here going on, guys? Giga Chad. Yep. Other questions, guys, before we depart? It's not allowing you to super chat, donate? That button right there, Eric. Well, I told you the story a million times. I'll tell it a million times again. It's because once you get over a certain amount of like subscribers or hours, I forget what, then what do they call that? Google AdSense. They deactivate your ad revenue, which includes super chats. And then they say, oh, to reactivate, you have to request a PIN. That'll come to you in like 2 to 3 weeks. And it never comes. Then you got to request it again and again. And I've seen online, other people have had the same thing. Like, they never sent, like, it's crazy. And the only way you can get it is through the mail. So, I have a couple like $100, $300 still locked in. I have no idea how to get it out. I can't get super chats through Facebook. And I've got all my stuff, my 300 some bucks from ads all locked in there too. So I don't know. If you guys know like how to, also it probably keeps me somewhat out of trouble. So, there is the cathedral here, the Roman Catholic Cathedral, has actually a pretty based, really conservative bishop and monsignor that work. And they ain't having any of that Skittle stuff here, right? Like, I'd love to actually talk to him about, like, strategize, but, you know, I think what he does is he just does, like, more masses and prayers and stuff like that. You know, from an Orthodox point of view, like, we can do that. We should do that, first and foremost, and get guidance on, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, rulers of darkness. I'm trying to remember the wrestle not. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. What is it? Ephesians 6:12. But against the powers, the principalities, against the world rulers of this darkness. That's right. Against the spiritual hosts of wickedness in the heavenly places. So just keep that in mind. And I kind of have I feel sorry for these people that, they've been brainwashed and that they're destroying their lives and the community, and they're being manipulated by demons. It's really unfortunate. And so first and foremost, let's put the spiritual battle first, right? That we got to pray. So I know that, at least. As far as other things, Michael Sisko's right. Get into politics. Like, he's going to get good Orthodox people and to, Senate, Congress, or just even local. Makes a big difference. You know what I mean? Oh no, I'm so sorry to hear, Carmen, that you didn't make it. You were driving from Minnesota. We would have had another Minnesotan. Do we have a couple out here? Skittles is bad. It's got food coloring in it. Red dye. What's that stuff called? Red dye. I mean, the other thing too is, like, you didn't even announce that it's for. I don't know. You could do a procession down, sanctify the streets. You have to tell them, like, I'm sanctified because of your dirty deeds. Bringing those dirty flags in here, right? You don't have to say that. But it could, that. The greater, bigger Orthodox presence we have in here, too, it'll push that evil out and back, right? Without force, but through the Spirit of God. There are a lot of Norwegians up here, a lot of Germans. Red 5, thank you, Jason Valdez. That's right, Red 5. All right. Well, Jesus' prayer does burn the demons. Don't forget to say the Jesus prayers. And it melts Skittles. So, by the way, there was actually a beautiful encounter. I don't know if you guys remember this. Saturday night, where that really effeminate Skittles. And by the way, there's only three in the whole town or something like that. So it's funny that they're pushing it so hard. I mean, they're pushing it harder here than they are in California, because California's already gone, right? That's why I said they're proselytizing. They're trying to convert. They're trying to take over the lands and make them skittled. So, but we ran into, I don't know if you guys remember this, we ran into young gentleman. He had his BLM thing on and his tight shorts, short shorts, and he was definitely skittled. He had his fingernails painted and stuff like that. We got to talk, and at the brewery, and he had asked me about Orthodoxy, and he knew about Orthodoxy. He'd come from Albania, and then he asked me to give him a blessing. And I just so happened to have had this myrrh with me from this monastery in Romania. And I gave him a blessing. And I thought that was such a beautiful event that, even, all of us being sinners, God's always looking for an open spot in the heart. The part that wasn't made stony and hardened by one's sins and stuff like that. And I saw that in this young gentleman. And he opened his heart and he asked for a blessing. And he received something holy. And we can pray for him. And I just thought that was kind of a beautiful moment that we're able to actually experience. So, anyways, what else do we got going? Thank you, Anime is Not Orthodox. God God bless. The Reverend Marcus, good to see you. Yeah, I can't wait for you to meet all the guys. Let's see. I'm just going to check. I'll make sure. I don't want to leave anybody out of. Eric W., I would have left you out. And also, Catfish appreciated $5. Meeting you and all the Ortho Bros I knew online as well as the new ones was amazing. That's what I feel. Blessing. God bless you, he says. Thank you, Catfish. Appreciate it. Eric W. donates $10. Thoughts on cessation? Like on stopping something? You mean cessationalism? Or like supersessionism or something like that? I'm not quite clear what that means. But thank you anyways for your super chats. Thank you, Chase, for your text. Who else? Anybody? Last Chance. Last Chance Gulch. That's actually a place in Helena. We took the Last Chance Gulch. Did you know why it's called Last Chance? And somebody had asked me this coming into Helena too. What's the story behind? Well, some prospectors, what do they call them? The Four or something like that. They came up here, looked for gold, which I'm actually doing too. I'm starting to get into the hobby. And it's a hobby, right? I can quit anytime I want. Oh, help me. I've only gotten flakes. Like, I probably have no idea what I'm doing. I need somebody who knows what they're doing to take me out and show me. So these four come out here and they've exhausted all their funds. They're going to go back east. And with nothing to show. They thought they're going to strike it rich. And right before they were going to leave, they were like, let's give it, one more time. One last chance. They put their pans down in the water right up here on the string. And it was just filled with sparkling gold. And so that, where we're eating in these different places and the breweries, is called Last Chance Gulch. And they say that most of the gold, that's been scraped off the top is still under so people do, like if they're working on the land or something like that, making leveling out foundations or something to build a house on, you're encouraged to actually take that dirt and get it checked, but it's going to be full of gold. So there's supposedly gold everywhere. I just haven't found it yet. And I haven't had that good of luck with fishing this year too. It seems like everybody is having. Fisher of men, yeah, like bring people into the church, being an instrument for God. Yeah, I think that I'm okay on that. But I'm getting the trout and walleye and stuff. I don't know what is the matter with me this year. Anyways, do we have any... Father Peter here is in? Is that what he said? Father, are you here? Father, bless. I don't see Father. I'm going back through the... Who said that? You just... Hold on, I got Steve Anderson on the phone with me right now. Let's ask Steve. Inquiring minds want to know. Steve, are you there? Steve Anderson, dear Lord. Dan, no, the topic was Orthodox MontaNIKA, just talking about kind of the event. I don't know about you guys who came, I can't get it off my mind. I can't stop thinking about, I really was tempted in the parish hall to lock up the the doors and be like, you ain't leaving anywhere. Suckers. You totally fell for it. Now you're all trapped here in Montana and you're never going to leave. I'm just messing. But it was really sad to like see you guys go. Oh, I see what Brent. I see what you're asking about with the ceasing of the spiritual gifts. It's almost like on a opposite, like these things stopped, right? Is that what? Hold on, what am I reading here? Ending the apostolic stage, yeah. I'll tell you what, too. That even comes over a little bit in. As a Lutheran, I was shy of, like, I guess with two things. Because I was responding to two things, and Reverend, you can second me on this, but as Lutherans, we would be like, I was skeptical of evangelicals, right? It's like, look at those crazy people over there, hollering and waving their hands. Like, there was always a joke, and how do you know, like, let's say that you were at church, and, you know, where you, the greet, right, where you greet everybody, right, the part of the service. What am I blanking on the name of the? Be like the kiss of peace or something like that. But you know, Lord is with you. You know, God. I forget the phrase. I've been Lutheran for so long. But Reverend, you help me out here. You know what I'm talking about. How do you spot the person that's not a Lutheran? Because the joke was they reach over to the other aisle, and like all the other Lutherans, like, oh no. But the other thing is, as Lutherans, we were suspicious of, like, Catholics, like in the miracles and stuff like that. That to me, I'm like, these people are all crazy and superstitious. And then you got the other side, the crazy evangelical Pentecostals, and so there was kind of like maybe it's very German and like skinny, like get yourself together and like, you know, so that comes, you know, you see that kind of in the form too, as well as, oh, that's so cool, yeah, Susan's Father Russell's wife, Matrusha Sue, it's great, was handing out Serbian beers. Yeah, so my thoughts on cessationism, it's wrong and it's a heresy. And it's false and dumb. Caesaropapism. Chasing those, I don't know where, like, am I missing something? I don't understand the whole Father Peter Hears thing. All right. Well, if there is any more questions, I will look for one more super chat. Otherwise, we'll depart. Again, just to remind you, in the description, we have the t-shirts that are for sale. I'm going to do like coffee mugs too. Any other ideas to add for merch? We should make a scrapbook too for those of you that attended. We're going to put all our photos together and make like a little, you know, things like that. That's cool. The memories, because that's really, I can't stop thinking about all the good time. Like, I mean, it was so great with you guys. I mean, I really wish you all lived here. I really was sad to actually see you all leave. That the camaraderie, an Orthodox camaraderie was just, it was beautiful. And to be able to do services with you together and be able to do the intellectual things, to be able to taste beers together, and be able to experience Montana and hike. It's just, it was nothing better. I mean, it was really one of the greatest things I've ever experienced. And I know it's just going to get better and better. So, let's see. So you got the MontaNIKA shirts, the link provided there. And if you missed it, again, I wanted to reach out to before I forget. But if you missed it and weren't able to attend, you've got the link there on my Gumroad, and you get all 4 lectures for $15. I want to reach out to, before I forget, who is our friend from Minnesota? Oh, Shabachi there, I lost you. Oh, don't you know? It was almost like a big walleye jumped up and, just... Where are you? I can't find... Are you over there in Brainerd? Help me out, guys. Who is the person that... said they couldn't make it? It was... Oh, Anyways, I can't find you on the... Carmen, send me an email and I will send you the videos. That's the least I could do for you since you already paid for a ticket. I will send you those videos for free since you were unable to make it out. So I'd like to do that for you. So you should have my email from the mass email that went out on that. So, all right, guys, God bless. Let me just look one more time and make sure, because I hate it if I leave. And this always happens. I shut the stream off, and then somebody's like, I sent a donation, and many great things in the future. I'm so excited. God bless all of you, and all of those volunteers who want to work on this project together, all the content providers, the guest speakers that were able to join, those who weren't able to join this year. The world's going crazy. And part of this is us coming together as one, and strength in numbers and the unity to combat this. But you shouldn't feel black-pilled. Like, don't despair. The Gil Bates of hell will not triumph over the church. I'm super excited about what's going to happen, that the things are coming together, so hope, brothers and sisters. There's really some good stuff on the horizon, despite how crazy it may seem. Don't forget that you're warriors for the church and our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Keep me in your prayers. Keep the world, those who are lost, our friend, that opened his heart for a little bit to receive that blessing at the brewery. We pray for them. We pray for all to be find the Holy Orthodox Church and be healed, and those in the church to be continually healed, and that we all may be, work towards our salvation. So thank you once again. Great time. God bless you guys all, and can't wait for the next one. I'll be sending out a questionnaire so that we'll get even more, some data, some good data, so we'll have even more and better ideas. So Christ among us, and in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, now and ever into the ages of ages. Amen. May the grace of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ be with all of you. Amen. Now all I have to do is just shut off my stream. If I can find out what window I had open. Here we go. Bye, guys. Did I see Dustin in there? Good to see Dustin. Good to see you all, actually. And with that, I bid you farewell and a blessed evening. God bless.